My name is Ryan Culhane, and I want to welcome you virtually to North Bay and the 2016 OFSAA Girls A and AA Soccer Championships. We look forward to a great event here in North Bay over the course of the next few days, and we certainly understand and respect that there have been a lot of hiccups along the way. Completely unplanned, unnecessary, but we are working through those, and we appreciate your patience and understanding through these. We're trying to come up with as many accommodations as possible, and again, thank you for your understanding. In the next few slides, I'm going to go through some of the key points of the championships so that we can all have a great championship, have a lot of fun, have a lot of great experiences, and have a lot of great soccer. So please stay tuned for some of the key details of the championships, and by all means, if you have any questions after the video, feel free to send me an email, ryan.culhane@nearnorthschools.ca. In the next few slides, what I'm going to go through is the coaches meeting agenda, which has been posted on the website and is also going to be listed step by step on each of the slides. So first off, again, my name is Ryan Culhane and I'm the convener of the soccer championships. In a face-to-face coaches meeting, I would have introduced you to some of my committee members, but you will see them throughout all of the fields, as well as all of our volunteers and some of our special guests, perhaps at the banquet. So we're going to jump right into the convener comments section. Just overall general comments. Again, I want to thank everybody for their assistance and patience with some of the trials and tribulations and issues that we've had. We've hosted many of these events in the past, and certainly these issues with hotels and things have not been an issue here in North Bay, and it's unfortunate that it's happened, but again, I think we're doing the best that we possibly can and making accommodations as we go. Our committee members throughout the championships will be wearing designated clothing, orange in color, golf shirts. So anytime that you have any questions about the tournament, feel free to go and track down one of our committee members, again wearing the orange golf shirts. There's about 20 of us on the committee, and again we can try and answer any of your questions. Our volunteers will be wearing white t-shirts, mainly made up of students from across this whole region from various school boards. Keep in mind that they are students. They've been asked to try and run a professional show. They will be wearing their white t-shirts and they'll be there to help you. Specifically with our volunteers, at each of the fields we will be having 2 ball people, one on either side of the pitch. And the purpose of those 2 ball people is just to keep the game going. If the ball is booted quite a ways out of bounds, these people will roll a new ball to the person throwing in and then go and fetch the ball. Again, it's just to try and keep the flow of the game going. Next person on field will be a scorer and timer. That scorer and timer, a few details will come later on in the slide deck. The scorer and timer is essentially taking care of the game card and is the interaction between the coaches and the officials. We're also going to have 2 field ambassadors. Purpose of the 2 field ambassadors is to be your go-to while the game is on. They will welcome you to the field. They will take your team banner, which we will be providing upon registration or at your first game in this case. They will take your team banner and hang it up on the fence if there is a fence at each of the pitches. That way it's displaying who you are. Again, your accomplishments for being at OFSAA. They will also be standing near your bench throughout the entire game. That way, if you need water bottles filled or anything else, they can be a runner for you. Again, just a little touch that we add here in North Bay to try and make your event memorable. Tournament procedures. We have set aside pre-printed game cards based on your eligibility sheets. These have been done by one of my committee members, and they will be provided for each of the games. More information on how you treat those pre-printed cards will come with respect to the number of players. So pre-printed cards for each of the games. Don't have to worry about any writing on the cards or having your stickers or anything like that. Before the game, Teams will be asked to line up on the touchline or on the sidelines, and referees will go through their regular inspection, cleat check, equipment check, those kind of things. No outside jewelry showing. And teams will be asked to shake hands before the game. At the conclusion of the game, teams will also shake hands. The games will be two 30-minute halves with a 5-minute rest in between. There will be score clocks at Omashil Fields B, C, at West Ferris, and at St. Joseph Schollard Hall. These score clocks will start at 30 minutes, will tick down, and the scorer and timer has been instructed to stop the clock with 1 minute left. At that time, it goes to the official's watch, of course, based on any added time. So once again, that's going to be 30 minutes counting down. It will stop at approximately 1 minute. They've been instructed not to let it go down to 0 and have the buzzer go off. And again, it'll go to the official's clock at that point. Number of players. As per the playing regulations, you are allowed to have 20 players on the game card. Your entire eligibility sheet will be on that game card, so it'll be up to you to review the card before the game. Our scorer and timer will bring you the game card. It is your job to inspect the card, stroke off any additional players that will not be playing in that game, so that you only have 20 student athletes listed for that game. So you will review the card, stroke off any players that will not be playing in that game, and hand it back to the scorer and timer. Those extra players, of course, again, according to the playing regulations, will be on your players' bench. They will not be visible in the uniform for the team. They can be in sweat gear and those kind of things, but we don't want to have them being confused with those that will be playing in the game. So again, they should be wearing something different than the rest of your team. At the end of the game, the scorer and timer will return back to you. It is your job at that point to check over the scorecard, the front of the scorecard, to make sure that all of the goals and cards have been marked correctly according to the game results and by the officials. I will ask you not to take a look at the back of the card. The back of the card will be used for the officials to write up any incident reports that will be reported back to me. Feel free to take a picture of the front of the card. It is not a carbon copy. If you would like to take a picture of the front of the card for your own records, feel free. But again, the back of the card is off limits, and that will be for the officials' notes, should there be any cards or ejections or those kind of things. So the card will be given back to you at the end of the game. You'll initial off at the bottom, which indicates that you've accepted the card, the game result as is, and then it will be recorded by our master records person. With respect to our fields are in excellent shape. I've been taking a good look at them over the last few days. They're in excellent condition. We have, with respect to fields, we have turf fields, artificial turf fields at Omashil B, C, and at St. Joseph Schollard Hall. And we have grass, natural grass fields at Omashil A, West Ferris, Veterans, ONR, and Graham Fields. I just want to caution you, the lines at West Ferris Field are painted in yellow on natural grass, and there are football lines that might be visible as well because of our local football team who used the field last weekend. So our yellow lines, of course, will be the soccer lines. We've done our very best to make them stand out, and again, hopefully those won't pose any difficulties with any players or officials. There are two-way radios at each of the sites. In the event that I or any other committee member needs to get in touch with anybody or any person or anything at each of the venues, there will be an all-call put out. This could be in case of weather or injuries, or perhaps maybe we need to get in touch with a coach before a game starts to try and talk about any discipline matters with respect to cards. Again, one-way radios at each of the fields that will be directly connected to each other and then back to results and back to me as the convener. With respect to the Jury of Appeal and Competition Committee, these will automatically be struck in the event that there are issues throughout the championship. We hope that there aren't, of course. Immediate actions would be, of course, if any players accumulate 3 yellow cards, we will convene and go according to the playing regulations. If there's any red cards in games, again, we will convene automatically and make our decisions based on the playing regulations and, of course, the officials' notes on the back of the scorecard. We will be contacting the coaches involved with our jury of appeal or competition committee once it's struck and once we've come up with the decision, and we'll be contacting the coaches based on your contacts that you've sent to me, and we can let you know what the result of the committees were and our decisions. With respect to pool play points, we are going to offer 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, and 0 points for a loss. We do have a master stats and scorekeeper, one of my committee members, Mr. Stan Goff. He will be frantically accepting all kinds of results after each and every one of the matches from 8 venues throughout the city. Stan will be recording the results. He will be pushing the results to the websites, both of them. Stan will also be responsible for tracking all of the cards that are issued throughout the entire championship. Yes, Stan has a big job, and he will be tracking all of this. He's done it many times for us in the past, and he is very efficient at his job. So again, all of those stats will be monitored throughout the championship. With respect to the playoff format, quarterfinals will be Friday at 5:15. Our semifinal game Saturday morning, as was indicated in an email out to all of the coaches, our Saturday morning 9 o'clock game, we may or may not need to change that time. It will be a decision that will be made once we find out who the teams are after the Friday night quarterfinals, and if there are still teams that are out of town, staying in hotels that are a significant distance away, we may, and we've been given the go-ahead by the committee and by OFSAA to change that time from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock to accommodate, again, those teams that have to travel from out of town. As it stands right now, the semifinals will stay at 9 o'clock for now. We will play that by ear, and we will find out which teams are still moving forward in the tournament prior to that, and again, make a decision. Everything will be crystal clear. All of these decisions, all of the results, all of the times will be listed and indicated on the website. Again, that'll be Stan's job to update that as the first point of communication to all of you. So semi-final, we're going to try and go for 9 o'clock as planned. Bronze medal matches at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and the gold medal match at 3 o'clock. With respect to the behavior at the banquet, the banquet is a very formal event, formal in attire and formal in its nature. We do have an MC who actually was a former chief of police here. He was involved with creating our first NDA soccer high school loop in North Bay, so I'm very proud to have him as our MC. And again, it will be a formal event. We expect that during the short speeches and presentations that your student athletes and coaches are paying attention and are respectful, which means that gadgets like cell phones, those kind of things, we would ask that they be used at a very, very minimum. Again, a formal event, we want this to go smoothly. We want to get the people fed. We want to have the appropriate people recognized for Leadership in School Sport Awards, and of course have a good time. With respect to our sponsors, we have an incredible number of sponsors that come on board here in North Bay and the surrounding area. And at the banquet, you will get a commemorative program, and throughout the program you'll see all of the sponsors and their logos. We encourage you to visit some of those sponsors and support them throughout your visit in the North Bay and surrounding area, including some of the restaurants. Again, they've helped us out a lot, and we'd love to help them back. Moving into the next section, which is the head official's comments. Again, I don't have the head official sitting beside me right now, but I have spoken to him both in the past and this year. Our head official will be Peter from the York region. He has worked alongside us here in North Bay at OFSAA Championships for many years, and he is my go-to for this. So the rules and regulations are pretty clear in the playing regulations. With respect to substitutions, of course, you can have any number of substitutions you'd like. Substitutions can occur in goal kicks, goals scored at halftime on your own throw. And if your opponent has initiated a throw-in, you can piggyback the throw-in and perform a substitution as well. With respect to yellow cards, the yellow carded player must be substituted immediately and a new player put onto the pitch. That yellow carded player may return at the next regular substitution period. Teams are not allowed to piggyback on the substitution of a yellow carded person. That person will be the only one that will come off the field at that time, with the exception of if it happened at the same time as a goal kick, goal scored, and so on. If a player receives a red card, of course, in the playing regulations, that person has to leave the playing field immediately and must stay near your bench for supervision reasons. When a student athlete when the student athlete accumulates 3 yellow cards, on the 3rd yellow card in the game that happens, that person must be removed from the playing field, of course, because it is a yellow card. We'll sit out the remainder of that game, and it's automatic after the 3rd yellow card that student athlete sits the next game as well. That will also be reviewed by our juries, and communication will be sent back to the coach about the appropriate suspensions and infractions. Any red card, of course, will also be radioed back, and we will strike our committee to take a look at the appendix at the back of the playing regulations. We will take a look at the referee's comments on the back of the card, and we will make a decision and communicate that back to the coach prior to the next game. On that same note, just as to be forewarned, we have had situations in the past, of course, where there have been 3 yellows or there have been red cards issued. And as would be expected, I think everybody would be under the understanding that any of the officials' comments and written words on the back of the game card, we're going to uphold those. We're going to take a look at what they've written. We're going to compare that to the appendix at the back of the playing regulations, and then the appropriate suspensions are listed there pretty clearly. It would take a very, very extreme case for us to vary at all from those suspensions on in the appendix. So just as a forewarning, again, this is supposed to be a high school event, a fair play event. We don't want to have to strike those committees very often, and hopefully we just have some good, clean soccer. With respect to the uniform policy, all teams should have the same jerseys, socks, and shorts, of course. And the uniform change policy, there is no changing on the pitch. Again, no derobing. You should be changing perhaps inside the school, maybe on the bus, in the change rooms if there's some provided. I think it's a game of soccer, so your athletes should probably come in their attire ready to play. They are allowed to have sweat gear over top, of course, as long as it doesn't have any of their club insignia. Again, the yellow card substitution procedure. Once a student athlete receives a yellow card, they will automatically sit off until the very next opportunity where you can perform a regular substitution and get them back onto the pitch. Yellow carded student athletes can be substituted with somebody from your bench. Red card, of course not. accumulation of cards I mentioned earlier in the slide deck, and my results and stats guy Stan will be taking track and keeping track of the cards of every game. 90 some odd matches, he will be tracking all of those cards, and again will be radioing to me in the event that we have to strike our committee to make a ruling based on infractions on any of the fields or accumulation of infractions. With respect to braces and cast, after a conversation with our head official, there are no hard casts allowed. Soft sports casts, or not casts but wraps, are okay. Braces, this is something that you're going to have to ask the on-field official, as it says in the playing regulations, but it was suggested that if a student athlete has a brace, that it should be covered with a sock or a sleeve. Again, please have your student athletes check with the on-field official as per the playing regulations before the game if there are any of those out there. We are providing Molten soccer balls for all gameplay. I've been given from Molten 3 balls per pitch, and because we've hosted so many times in the past, I have extra balls, and they will be provided so that we can again keep the game flow moving throughout the entire championship. Next section is future OFSAA championships, and I've listed them here in this slide deck, and you can take a peek. You can see that in 2016-2017, the AA is scheduled to be back here in North Bay, and a few of the other associations have claimed spots, with the exception of 2018 and 2019. Convening a OFSAA championship of any kind is a lot of work. I won't deny that. You have to be able to troubleshoot and have a great team behind you. I think that's the most important. Have lots of volunteers. And I would encourage anybody to go through it. And if you are interested, please contact your association rep, and they'll be able to get you all of the details to apply for it, and start thinking about it early. And that way you can build your army of people to try and get you through and get you to enjoy the event, which is, of course, most important. With respect to the any other business, these are things that, again, I might deflect to you talking with your association rep or your maybe athletic department head or chair at your schools. One or a couple of things of note: the Team Sportsmanship Award. My committee of 20 and my officials will be taking a look throughout the entire championships, and we will be selecting a Team Sportsmanship Award for both the A and the AA, so 2 of these. And again, this is going to go to the teams that are respectful, playing the game as it should be, treating people properly as they should be, polite, respectful, maybe going out of their way and thanking some of the committee members and volunteers, which is another thing. I think that throughout the championships, do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Let's give these people a little pat on the back and a thanks. They're giving up lots of hours, as are you. We understand that. But they've given up lots of hours to try and make this a first-class event here in North Bay for you and for your student athletes. So all of those, of course, will be noted, and we will be forwarding one team name from each of the championships, the A and the AA, back to OFSAA within a week afterwards. And your school will likely, the recipients will be awarded something from OFSAA, from head office. As you know, there are OFSAA participant limits, and that was in effect this championship, with the cap being at 24, including all players and coaching personnel. And there are participation limits in all of the other sports as well. At the end of the competition, I encourage you, there will be a link on the websites to complete a participant feedback survey. I encourage you to fill that out. That gives the OFSAA head office some feedback about the championships and about your experience. And again, I'm hopeful that that this is a positive championship for both you and your student athletes. And again, that is our goal. So please take a moment or two to complete that participation feedback survey at the end of the championships. heading to the end of the slide deck, and again, I want to thank you for taking a peek at this prior to the competition. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop me an email, ryan.culhane@nearnorthschools.ca. I've also given my cell phone number, 705-471-2340. Please understand that we have 40 teams here, upwards of 960 athletes. We're going to have over 90 some odd games. I'm floating all over the city. I will have radio contact back to each and every one of the venues, but it may be difficult to get in touch with me. That's why I have my committee members in orange at each of the facilities. Please feel free to ask them a question. If they don't know the answer, they can radio back to me, rather than perhaps you sending me an email or a text or anything like that, because again, I have to be honest, I may not get to it because of the sheer volume of communications that I've been receiving over the last little while. So please take advantage of chatting with my committee members in orange golf shirts, and hopefully they can answer the question. If not, certainly they can get back to me. If it is an urgent matter, by all means, give me a call on my cell phone, 705-471-2340. I'm going to remind you that any communication, if we have to shut down fields for weather reasons or other, all of that communication will be via the website. We are going to be using that website, or both websites, for all communication, all results. Everything will be posted up there. I would ask that you use that as your first point of contact. And again, if the answer isn't there, feel free to ask somebody at the field. And if they can't answer it, or they can't get a hold of me, they should be able to with the radios. But if they can't, at that point, by all means, give me a call, drop me an email. A call or a text is probably better. Let me know who you are on the other end. And again, our goal is to make this a great championship in North Bay. Any questions, feel free to ask, and hope you have a safe trip, and we'll see you at the championships.